بلش بس انه انت شو المطلوب؟
انا عايز استنشق
ايميل لكن انا حاطط هلا بعطيك كارتي برزنتيشن. لا مش بس
حبيبي عمار بعطيك على اساس الفالنتير وانا نسوي ايميل مع بطل الشغل وقت وكذا CPA and CGMA credentials. He has earned a professional doctorate degree in global finance, and he brings over to the embedded
Financial sustainability means have backs. Moreover, a report by McKinsey & Company suggests that by addressing these challenges, we can achieve financial sustainability through innovation and resilience. As we move forward, we will address these challenges and dominant in the e-commerce. If we speak about Tesla, they use real-time analytics to monitor their production lines and identify potential bottlenecks or departments to ensure that sustainability is embedded in their organization's DNA. By integrating ESG factors into corporate governance, the goal was to provide a fair and unbiased system that values a company's effort to improve. No hands raised. Unfortunately. Finance professionals must learning and development programs, helping our teams to upskill and reskill to meet the demands of the future. By fostering a culture of adaptability, the global cost of cybercrime is expected to reach $10.5 trillion by 2025. As businesses become more reliant on technology of cybersecurity breach, we can look at the recent example of a major financial institution, and I'm quoting you from the Wall Street Journal. This incident underscores the urgent need for finance leaders to prioritize cybersecurity, to protect valuable data and maintain the trust of their clients and stakeholders. Policies. By proactively identifying and mitigating risks, finance leaders can protect their organization from potential financial losses and bolster state. Throughout my career, I have faced many challenges, exactly like you are. That's why I wrote my latest book, The Art of Becoming a Strategic CFO. It should have been posted on the presentation, unfortunately, but it is a comprehensive guide that shows you how to navigate the finance world with practical strategies to become a successful CFO, whether you are just starting or already experienced. I would like to quote you from my book in chapter 19. I talk about how to future-proof your finances and create a sustainable financial strategy for long-term success. Businesses need to care about sustainability because customers, investors, and employees want them to take action to reduce environmental impact, be socially responsible, and succeed economically in the long run. In conclusion, achieving financial sustainability in the modern business environment is a complex challenge that requires vision, adaptability, and collaboration. By embracing technology, prioritizing ESG integration, developing a future-ready workforce, and improving cybersecurity, CFOs can lead their organization towards a more sustainable and prosperous future. If you had to pick just one key takeaway from today's session, just one key takeaway, I would suggest the need for CFOs to embrace technology. This means using advanced tools and systems to work more efficiently, make decisions based on data, and stay ahead of the competition. By doing this, we can help our organization succeed in the future by being innovative and adaptive. As we look ahead to 2030, let us seize the opportunities that lie before us and work together to create a better future for our businesses, our stakeholders, and our planet. Thank you for your attention and thank you for having me, and I wish you all the best in your journey towards financial sustainability.
Thank you, Dr. Tamer. Moving along with our agenda, I would like to call on stage for the first panel under the title Leading Recovery, Growth, and Sustainability to Meet Vision 2030. If I can have Dr. Noof bin Hadab from Princess Noura bint Abdul Rahman University, Program Director, Bachelor of Accounting and Assistant Professor of Tax Accounting. Also, Dr. Nujoud Sradar from King Abdulaziz University, PhD, BA in Accounting, Assistant Professor, and also Anwar Hadidi from Deloitte, a Growth Leader for Audit and Assurance, Middle East, and Senior Executive Director on Audit. And last but not least, also from BEE Systems, CFO, Mr. Adam Clark. If you would join us, please, on stage. Thank you.
Can I start? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Dr. Noof bin Haddab. I'm an assistant professor of tax accounting and the program director of Bachelor of Accountancy. And also, I am the director of learning and teaching quality in the Princess Noura University. So we are gathered here today to discuss one of the most critical aspects of an organization's success, the role of CFOs in shaping the future businesses, driving recovery from challenging times, fostering growth, and ensuring long-term sustainability. In the pursuit of Vision 2030, it's essential to recognize the important role that CFOs play in guiding organizations towards financial stability, resilience, and innovation. Today, we are honored to have a distinguished panel of accomplished leaders who have made significant contributions to their respective organizations. Each panelist brings a wealth of experience, unique perspectives, and valuable insights that will undoubtedly enrich our discussion and provide us with valuable takeaways for creating a sustainable future. So allow me to introduce our esteemed panelists. First, Dr. Nujoud Sradar, an assistant professor in accounting and finance in King Abdulaziz University, and the vice president of the Applied College and a consultant at the University Office of Transformation. Dr. Nujoud is also a supervisor of accounting international accreditations in the Applied College. She worked on the development of accounting programs in its various fields, and her research interests include optimal methods of teaching accounting in Saudi universities and analyzing the gap between education and practice in the field of accounting. Welcome, Dr. Nujoud. Mr. Anwar Hadidi is a member of Deloitte in the Middle East and serves as the growth leader of audit and assurance. Mr. Anwar serves a number of large complex clients in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia who have international operations. He has spent around 30 years working in the Middle East and the Arabian Gulf, specializing in corporate finance and assurance across a variety of industries. He has worked with a diverse set of clients, including some of the Saudi Arabia's largest companies in utilities, aviation, constructions, and others. Mr. Anwar is certified as a US CPA, Jordanian CPA, and a CFA chart holders, and a member of a number of accounting bodies. Welcome, Mr. Anwar. Mr. Adam Clark, the Vice President Finance for BAE Systems in Saudi Arabia. He has over 23 years of experience working for BAE Systems. He has spent over 14 years in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia across a range of leadership positions, including managing a holding company with numerous joint ventures. As Vice President of Finance, Mr. Adam is responsible for overseeing the company's financial operations, including budgeting, financial analysis, and strategic planning. Mr. Adam is also an associate member of the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants. Welcome, Mr. Adam. So we'll start the session with an important topic, which is technology and digital transformation. So, Mr. Anwar, if you allow me, I would like to ask, what role does technology play in modern financial management, and how can young CFOs leverage technology to improve their performance?
Thank you, Dr. Nof. Look, if we start looking at the use of the technology and the businesses with the organizations, that first we look at the impact of not having it, and we're seeing how much the organizations, the entities being hampered by the fact of not having adequate systems, adequate technology within the organizations. While the ones that use the data analytics technology, the tools of the technology, manage to get things in a much better way and benefit from that angle. I can refer to the effect of the COVID, and here we're not discussing COVID, but saying basically the impact of the COVID was an evidence how the technology can be used and how things can be transformed. We used to have the financial reporting in quarterly, monthly, annually, from financial statements perspective. Through the COVID, many companies, many organizations experienced to have or had the experience of expediting the process of improving the use of the technology. They reached to the point where the use of the technology becoming near time, on timely basis, and being requested to be untimely in order to manage the demand, the supply chain, lots of things. That's by itself changed the whole game in relation to the technology, and we know globally the tech companies, the value of the tech companies shoot up. Why? Because of the demand for the technology. That it came, I would say, with a cost, but it was a short-term cost because we know it affected the whole process, the efficiency, the processes, in each and everything. We saw the effect of the technology in the organizations. Now, one survey that we conducted as a firm globally in relation to with the CFOs, in relation to the impact of the technologies, and they found that one of the biggest challenges, as Dr. Tamer mentioned, is the technology, to incorporate the technology within the organizations, and here not just to have the systems, rather to be incorporated in terms of streamlining the data, the information, the data aggregation, and to use the analytics. That by itself was a challenge for the CFOs. And they found as well that the CFOs do recognize the centralization of the data, the analysis of the data. Still, many organizations are still behind, although we're seeing the sophistication and in the systems. Now, why the technology is important? It's simple, it is transparent, it is non-biased, it's insightful, it gives more information, quick, to make decisions. So that's the main thing behind having the technology and to have the technology in the organization. Now, how we can leverage from the technology, where we can leverage, if we look at the organizations, it's basically if we look at it, it's the financial reporting, which is the key for any business, the financial reporting. Risk management, we know that many aspects in relation to the risk, if we want to manage the risk, we need to have the information, and the technology will help us. This is very key for us. And even from a regulatory perspective, we know lots of the regulators, they are becoming more sophisticated, and they're coming to the organization and pushing that kind of reporting and giving the level of information that would be helpful for the regulators to make decisions, regardless of in relation to any industry. This is the role, I would say, and the importance of the technology in our life, and we're seeing it day after day is evolving. Thank you, Dr. No.
I can't agree more. Mr. Adam, if you allow me to ask, in what ways are CFOs leveraging technology and data analytics to drive financial performance and support strategic decision-making within their organizations.
Thank you, and good evening. It's a pleasure to be here. I think it's a really good question. I think the answer you just got was very thorough and robust around there, but I think it's certainly an area where there is a gap at the moment between where companies find themselves and where they'd like to be. And I know if we look at our organisation, we've invested heavily in technology, and I think at the moment, certainly from the profession's perspective and where we are as a function, we're very much focused on finance professionals using technology to generate data that looks backwards, that looks at actuals, that looks at reporting, and those things that are important and absolutely need to be right and robust with the right systems around it. But I think where the challenge comes for the profession as we look forward is how we can use technology to inform future decision making. I don't think you can take the human aspect out of what we do. I think there's still a huge role for a CFO to be able to use that data and that technology to interpret it, to analyse it, and use it to inform where it's going. But I think being able to make decisions based on information that's been produced and can be relied upon and is robust is fundamental. And I think that's something where all organisations are working to continue to refine and improve that data and then use the right technologies and systems to help support that future decision making as we move forward.
I agree with you. Nowadays, technology is essential to compete in global markets. So now we'll move on to another important topic, which is sustainability and ESG. And we'll talk about it from 2 points of view, from academic point of view and from industry point of view. So I'll start with the academic point of view. So the question says, what is the role of education in preparing young CFOs to incorporate the goals of economic diversification and sustainability? And if you allow me, I would like to answer these questions from academic point of view. So, of course, universities have an important role in preparing future CFOs that are aware of sustainability concepts. So one way of doing that is integrating sustainability concepts in academic curriculum and research. And I always tell my colleagues, you don't have to start from scratch. Like, you can start by introducing students to well and established frameworks that emphasize the importance of sustainability reporting and also incorporating ESG considerations in investments analysis, decision-making, policies and practices. And also, we always can introduce students to concepts and terms and definitions of corporate social responsibility. And good examples of such frameworks may be the GRI, the Global Reporting Initiative, the PRI, the Principles for Responsible Investment, the ISO 26000, and also the maybe Dow Jones Sustainability Index and the Sustainability Institute. And also, I think that university can increase the awareness of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. For example, our college in Princess Noor University is a signatory of the UN Prime, the Principles for Responsible Management Education Initiative, and this initiative aims at implementing sustainability concepts and responsible management in curriculum and research. And we are presenting our progress report in the next academic year. We'll share it with all shareholders. And finally, I think university can increase the awareness of sustainability and ESG consideration through extracurricular activities. For example, our accounting department is hosting its annual accounting forum in October this year to discuss developments in business sustainability. And we have invited a number of speakers from academia and from industry to discuss issues related to ESG indicators and sustainability in the public and the private sector and corporate social responsibility reporting. So that's what I have on education and academia. So I don't know if you can add something from industry, like how can young CFOs balance short-term financial goals with long-term sustainability objectives, and what strategies can be used to align these seemingly competing priorities? Mr. Adam, maybe you want.
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I think all organisations wrestle with the short-term goals and direction and the pressure that we get as CFOs to deliver short-term financial performance, but then considering the longer-term aspects and the investments and what needs to be done for the long-term health and medium-term health of the business. And that's a real challenge. I think that's something that we all wrestle with. I think what is important is, first and foremost, is having that alignment between all stakeholders around what the aspirations and goals are of the company. I think that the speech that was given before really focused on, if your priorities as an organisation are ESG, and you've got that top to bottom and that aligned, then clearly making sure that appropriate resources are allocated to make those investments and achieve those strategies are clearly important. I think, you know, being able to communicate that message and that vision clearly and keep that alignment within the organisation is key. So those goals and objectives for any organisation need to be understood from the top to the bottom, so all employees share that and move there. I think when we talk about ESG as well, I think it's important to consider, you know, there's three different parts to that equation, and governance is clearly a key part. I'm sure my colleague here from Deloitte will speak extensively around that point. But, you know, as CFOs, you know, first and foremost, when people are looking at our companies and our organisations, the ability to rely upon the information that's being reported, whether that be financial or anything else, is absolutely fundamental, and having the right systems and processes around that is a key role of the CFO. And I think the bedrock of any solid organisation starts with the appropriate governance foundation around there. I think when we look at the S and we really think about the social impacts of organisations, I think, you know, the biggest contribution that any of our organisations make is the people that we employ. You know, they are absolutely the lifeblood of all organisations, and I think, you know, I look at the investment that we make as a company in the areas where we work, and that investment that we make primarily in the people, and really focusing on, you know, bringing young people into our organisations, giving them fantastic training, and giving them a purpose. I think that develops and brings good societies with it. And I think all organisations play a key role in terms of how they develop and grow their people within that. And I think that's very much based around, you know, the changing world that we operate and the environment we operate in, around the diversity that we bring into the workplace as well. And that diversity manifests itself in many ways. I think historically we talked very much about gender, but I think, you know, very much social backgrounds, the types of people you bring, the different thinking that you bring to the table, and informed decision making is something that's really important. And I think, you know, gender is key, but looking at all different ways in which you develop, you know, the right conversations and the right discussions by moving that. And then finally, obviously, environment is something that's really important. I think all companies now are thinking about the footprint that they create. I think as we embrace technology, you know, clearly that's making the carbon footprint that we imprint on the world less and less. But, you know, companies like ours make huge investments in buildings, in technology, and continually reevaluating those business cases around new buildings and looking at what they're creating, I think is something that's important. So the lens is moving, and I think, you know, we continue to keep these things in focus, and they're bringing a different dimension than what we had in the past. And I think we're still learning. I don't think we've got it perfect just yet, but I think the progress that we're all making is remarkable, and long may it continue.
I agree with you, and it's clear that investors are increasingly requiring firms to incorporate ESG in their operations and decision making.
But I think we continue to redefine what that means as well. You know, if I look at what BAE Systems does as a defence company, you know, there was a period in the last sort of 12, 18 months, 2 years where we were almost going on to the naughty step around ESG. You know, we were being looked at in the same light as tobacco companies and other things that aren't renewable.
Sin company.
Sin, exactly. It's a sin, we were seen as a sin stock, and I think what we've seen in the world in the last sort of 12 months, you know, particularly highlighted by what's going on in Ukraine, has just absolutely re-emphasised how important, how defence is fundamental to the societies that we all live in and what we all enjoy, and being able to protect yourself and other partner nations is absolutely fundamental and at the heart, very much at the heart of what ESG is all about. So I think that's the point around we continue to learn and develop as we move, don't we?
I agree with you. And now we will move on to another important topic, challenges in today's environment. So I would like to start with you, Dr. Najoud. So what are the roles and challenges of the CFO in today's complex business environment?
Well, allow me, everybody, to start with the sentence, no one can predict the economic uncertainty. We are, as an academic in our university, we always emphasize to our students that the work environment is uncertain and unpredictable. And I think everyone here is witnesses what's happened in the pandemic, the last one, and how the work environment and the business environment is changed and driven from, let's say, sometimes from bottom to top and from top to bottom. So what's happened during the previous pandemic can tell us more about and can be the biggest evidence that the business environment is unpredictable. Despite this, I think the uncertainty and all the challenges and changes that's happened in the business environment can be used for a benefit for the business. So I think the business itself can use this to be an advantage or something that can impact negatively in their business. Many examples that's gone through the pandemic that prove a lot of business use this events for their advantage and get benefit from the business and the growth for their business. And also from the other hand, another business, they didn't take these advantages and it's impact negatively the pandemic for their business. So from another side, it is important, it is about the way that we can use and operate these events for our benefit. It can lead to growth for the business or the shutting down for this business. I think the role of the CFO, it can be mentioned here. The pandemic created an opportunity for the CFO to demonstrate the critical strategic they can play in helping transform the future of their business. And many of the researchers after the pandemic approved that the role of the CFO will increase significantly in the next 3 or 4 years. So if we are talking about the roles, there is a lot on their shoulders of the CFO. They must fully understand how to create value for their organization and how to act role in the profit of the business.
Thank you, Dr. Najoud. Mr. Anwar, do you want to add anything to that?
Well, I can start saying, and I don't know, do I have to feel sorry for the CFOs? Lots of things in their shoulders, the way that you see. I can say basically, look, I'm not a CFO, but I've been dealing throughout my career day and night with the CFOs. Each day I have at least 1 or 2 CFOs that I have the interaction, the discussions with them, and seeing what problems that they have and issues, solutions, what the new things are happening, new trends, how to resolve things. I can tell the center of any organization, mainly I would say the CFO, the one who puts things together with the executives, with the board, and with the different parts of the organization. So if you look who links things together, he's basically the CFO, the center, the heart of the business, which is basically shows how it is key, this role. Usually you look at the CEO more operational, you look at the board more taking high-level decisions, but at the same time you see the CFO, he needs to be high-level, he needs to be strategic, but at the same time he needs to look at the operation side to control and manage and to make sure things are there, which makes it very, very challenging for him. He needs to be agile, he needs to be fast-moving, he needs to be decision maker. That's very important for the CFO because he puts things together. And as Dr. mentioned, if you look at with this world of the uncertainty, the world of the complications, the talent management, balancing between the short-term and long-term goals of the organization, these coming like in the shoulders of the CFO to take the organization the right direction. And we see the success is coming mainly from that direction, working together, putting the teams together within the organization, the executives and the operational part of the business. This by itself is key, and I think he needs to be agile, he needs to be decision making. And you see the success of the organization coming from that angle, while the failure, when you see basically it's some basic from our side, we're seeing it in the organization as Mr. Adam mentioned, we're seeing it like many organizations, they fail in their financial reporting, I can say from financial statement perspective, from certain regulatory matters. Why? Because the CFO is not there. While you see the brilliant side is coming because he's the one who's moving things. So being agile, being decision maker, being top of things are key success for any CFO. So I hope this is basically will glow the picture for the role of the CFO, and at the same time, people would appreciate it's not something routine that the CFO is doing. If he's doing something routine, there is something wrong, because the CFO is meant to handle the uncertainty, the ambiguity, and to stand strong when any unusual situation. Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. Dr. Majood, what are the current trends where the CFO can play a significant role?
Yes. Well, again, emphasize to what you have saying, mastering change, what they need for the future. Because I am academic, I will talk from the side of the researchers and the last researchers about the CFO. They say they should look at them as a strategic partner rather than not in the top management. CFO already are involved deeply, and it can adopt a significant change, and also especially when the work environment moves toward digital and finance change. So mastering change for the future CFO is the important role they need to play, and also the important skill they need to adapt to it. In the past, I think most of the CFO, they work in the historical data and report, but I think nowadays, after the changes that's happened recently, we need to look at them for the future perspective and play a roles in the next to the CEO. In my opinion, I think their roles and their important in their organization, it's become closely important at the COO. So all the complexity and the business environment and all the changes and the challenges, in my opinion, emphasize more and more in the important role for the CFO in the future as a decision maker, or are playing an important role in their profit or growth of their organization. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Majood, for your insights. Mr. Adam, if you allow me, I want to ask, how are CFOs collaborating with other functional leaders within their organizations to drive value across the value chain? And what are some of the best practices for building effective cross-functional teams?
Okay, thank you. I think this is a really important point, and I think this really plays on to the answer that was just given previously around being a business partner. I think historically the role of the CFO was to be almost a super accountant and the person who's the checks and the balances and the person who's making sure the reporting's right. And we've talked already a little bit about the governance environment that we operate. But as we move forward, and certainly what we've been trying to do is is move that role of finance from being backward-looking, being reporting, to actually working with the business and really driving and predicting outcomes and delivering outcomes. And they're never done in isolation or independence. You know, they've got to be done across the business. Something that we've worked really hard on in our organisation for a number of years now has been to integrate the different functions into what we call project teams. So rather than having, you know, siloed functions that only offer support, we put a lot of emphasis on our finance professionals. Once they've got their basic studies and they understand how to account properly, then we ask them to really understand how the business works, how the business makes money, and then get involved in those decisions and drive them forward. And, you know, ultimately, whichever aspect of the project life cycle you want to look at, or whichever function you want to be involved in, finance should be in there playing a part. You know, and the reason why I think it's so easy for finance to be involved is there isn't really any decision that an organisation makes that doesn't cost money. And anything that costs money as a finance function, we should have an involvement in, I believe. So you've easily got a way in, but then it's all about your ability to build relationships and work with the business. And again, I think, you know, historically it's been quite easy to point out the errors that people make or apply hindsight to what's going on. But if you embed yourself in there and you get involved in the decision making and you help to be part of it and drive that, then the other functions will see you as the partner that we just described. And having that one team approach, you know, really kind of bringing everybody together, I think that collaboration is absolutely essential, and that's what we've seen in our organisation. People want finance in the room when decisions are being made, because the finance people understand how everything links together, how we get the outcomes that we want, not just operationally, but then what the financial impact of that is. And that complete picture is absolutely essential, because it can't always be money that drives outcomes. You know, you've got to keep the customers happy. You know, you've got to keep your suppliers in business, and you've got to keep the organisation doing the possible, not always asking them to do the impossible. So trying to get that balance, I think, is the key role of finance at all times. And sometimes you won't always get it right, but I think if you're in it as a collective, then you will find that your business integrates together much easier, and ultimately then you will get those partnering outcomes that you want, and you'll get that collaboration and insights that comes with that.
Thank you all for your insights on how CFOs need to adapt to today's volatile environment. And if you allow me, I would like to close the session by focusing on a particular context, which is Saudi Arabia or the GCC region. So if we're talking about growth and sustainability in Saudi Arabia, that necessarily leads us to talk about the Vision 2030. Sustainability and growth are at the heart of the Vision 2030, and Saudi Arabia is committed to use its investment power to create a sustainable and diverse economy. And the 2030 vision aspires to have businesses that contribute to the development of our society and our country, and not only driven by generating profits. So we expect our companies to increase their social responsibilities and contribute to generating a sustainable economy. And of course, creating such an economy needs to build an education system that is aligned with market needs. And I personally think that research can help to identify drivers and opportunities of sustainability and growth, because research can help to examine the issues related to sustainability, analyze them, and identify the strengths and weaknesses related to them, and propose solutions to problems. So that have been said, I would like to thank our panelists for their valuable insights, and I would like to know if the audience have any question.
First of all, I would like to thank you for the fruitful session and insights from you guys. My name is Saad Shafi'i. I'm from Al Safe Engineering Company. I'm a finance manager. I would like to ask about the digitalization and how far this can affect the human being as a financial profession in the future, and what kind of job might be eliminated from the market, and what kind of job can be generated for a new profession or a new role for the financial people. Okay. It's all of you guys. Look, okay, so
I think everyone can comment on that.
It's a risk. So it's a risk for like we heard about a lot of artificial intelligence and how could this help in analyzing the data and producing a lot of tasks. The machine can replace the human being. At what extent?
Look, I do share with you the concern, because this is we're seeing it even these days. I see it as a hot topic as well in the news, that you see the IA is basically something is worrying, and you have some of the key executives of this world are coming out in the news saying basically, look, it's a danger, and we need to see how we're going to manage such situation. I don't think that we have a definite answer for the question, but something I can tell you, first of all, this is where the world is evolving. Still, we have, you see the macro, I would say, level, macro demands are coming, the businesses are evolving in different directions. We know over the history of a human being, many professions, many careers been disappeared, and things being changed in a different direction. So the adaptation for the, I would say, for the humanity, for new things, this basically is going to happen. And I can tell you, like from our experience, like when I started my career in the accountancy, when we used to do everything manual, open the working paper, these kind of things it takes, and lots of people in order to be there. We have to have the files, everything. Now everything is simple, straight to the point. You don't have to have lots of people in order to extract the data and in order to start processing. All these things are coming in gradual, and people will start adapting and moving away from the traditional way. This, I would say, the smart move actually for the governments, for the parents even, when they guide the new, I would say, the young people where to move, in which direction. They don't have to continue pursuing the same career, same work, same type over the years. They need to change as we go along, as we move in the future. I think this is my take on that. I know, like in our profession, they talk about the robotics, and there's basically, and even I can tell you the firm is already introduced a few things that by 25, that will start taking few things in relation to the involvement of the robotics, how this will affect our people, but we will start to think of other alternatives transitionally, but the new generation needs to think of other ways of pursuing the careers. People will not continue doing the same things that they are doing now. I don't know, Adam, if you want to comment on that.
Look, it's a great question, isn't it? And if we all knew the answer to that, then, you know, we'd be making very different investment propositions, I'm sure, in our personal and professional lives. So, you know, it's always going to be subjective, and it's always going to be a view, isn't it? I think, you know, the way in which it's been articulated is we've clearly seen many developments, haven't we, through the profession over time. And I think, as I've spoken about already, and what's really on my mind is how, as CFOs or finance leaders, we become more commercial, we become more partnering with the business. I think the role of the system, the machine, whatever it is that's going to advance and make strides, will help us get the data. It will produce a certain level of sophistication within that data. But the smart people, the good accountants, are the people who can do something with that and manipulate it. The machines will help you to identify trends, it will point things out, But I think organisations and ultimately shareholders or investors will still want to look a person in the eye and understand who's in control of their investment, who's in control of their company, and who is it who's informing, using the information that's produced to then make the smart decisions. So I think, as we look to evolve as a function, as professionals, it's back to that ability to join the dots, not just to be able to record and report. It's about that ability to see the gaps, to see the risks, to see the opportunities, and to be able to capitalise on those things. Our ability as leaders, and the role of the CFO has been described, and the complexities that go around that, but a lot of it revolves around influencing skills. It involves bringing a team with you. It involves being able to shape outcomes and take the organisation in the right way, very much hand in glove with the CEO, not always on the same page, being able to disagree, but get to the right outcomes. I don't see a situation where augmented reality or robotics or machines are doing that. I think our function is going to remain absolutely key and critical to organisations, and as innovation comes along, our ability to govern that, control it, monetize it and use it, I think will be key. But that's just the evolution of where we are today, and it continues the journey that we're at. That's my view.
Thank you, Adam. I want to add one more question to you. As a finance professional, we know we always work with numbers and technology. Without technology, I think any of us can live today? No, it's proven. Now, we are taught that we have to talk in numbers. We can talk stories in corporate or everywhere else, but how to translate to numbers sometimes become very challenging. Now, new thing is coming is ESG reporting. How to compare one company to another company on ESG reporting is written all in descriptive. How to convert it to numbers and give rating. So I don't know whether you can give a throw light so we can use it in day-to-day activities now itself. Thank you.
No problem, thank you. I don't know if these questions are implants, but you're not giving us any easy ones, are you? No, I think it's a great question, isn't it? I think most people want that ability to, as you say, within the finance profession, to translate those things into numbers. I think some things are easier than others, aren't they? I think when you look at companies like ours, we can talk about carbon footprint, and that can be quantified, and that can be compared. So I think when you look at the environment side of things, I think there's many statistics that companies are using, and actually, organisations like Deloitte are working hard on a consultancy basis with to try and introduce more standardisation across the piece, and we're seeing some of that brought to the table. I think when we look at governance, there are a number of reforms that are being looked at the moment, and some changes which will bring increased standardisation. I think that's where it comes to when you want to look at the ability to compare. I think it's that society impact, though. I think that's the one that's really hard to quantify. I think companies can, as we do, they can make statements and make commitments around, bringing young people into the workforce where they are under that diversity inclusion. But that ability to compare with one organisation to the other, I think that's very challenging. I think it's each industry has its own quirks and nuances, doesn't it? And I think we're still very much on that journey. I think things are improving, but I don't think there's the black and white comparisons like a financial ratio that exists just today. But I think that's something that's quite open, and where organisations are continuing to grow and develop from there.
We are at the infancy level, I can say, in each and everything, and we've been through this. I can tell you, just to touch Adam on the relation to the firm. If you look at it now across the world, if you look at the world, and we've been interacting with some of the European countries that are like the UK, the Italy, the others, and you can see different levels, and even within the country itself. No one would believe that Italy is one of the most sophisticated, I would say, country that they have a good system in relation to the ESG and information reporting professionals, people more than, I would say, other countries within Europe. When you compare Europe with the Middle East, we are far behind. So, and I think it's going to be expedited in a way or another because of what's happening around us. It's moving fast. And the profession is very adaptive naturally, and we're seeing it from the way that we're handling it. When I look at our teams within the firm in the Middle East, I think this year we've been doubled, and the people working on the ESG, and still they're talking about each year they will double or triple. And this applies to each and everyone else. What does it mean? It means the level of maturity, the level of demand within the business community is growing. This is one thing. The demand from the governments is growing in each and every aspect. Now, like any standards, it's so basic. It's so basic. I think by 2030, if we want to benchmark with the 2030, I think things will be more and more sophisticated, and we're seeing it. You would be surprised, some of the, I would say, mega groups, the kingdom, they have just started, and those ones be highly affected by that. And still they're getting and trying to capture I would say, the run in order to move in the right direction. And that's why itself, it will take time. And I think the most important thing is I would say, the work on the ground. These companies, they start to work. It's not about just the reporting. The reporting will be part of the governance, part of the regulatory matters, that they will establish accountability for the government. But I can tell you, our planet is not waiting. And we're seeing the impact in each year, like in Riyadh, and I've been in Kingdom for 25 years. To me, in Riyadh, it's been raining across the year, and if you look at Italy, you hear the floods, you see droughts in certain parts. This is so fast. So I hope that we'll be able to catch that even before catching the reporting, I would say. Thank you.
We're going to take the last question, then we're going to move on with our agenda.
We have the time, don't worry about it from our side. We can give it.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. This is Francisco Bastida, Prince Sultan University. We wrote a paper about ESG in Islamic banks in the Gulf cooperation countries. And we found out that Saudi Arabia is ranking above, and with the statistical significance, the data for Saudi Arabia is 39 compared to 33, which is the average of the remaining Islamic banks. So Saudi Arabia is doing a great job in ESG in Islamic banks. So regarding this data, I have two questions. First, we took this data from DataStream. DataStream has a ESG ranking. So you can see how financial statements or how big institutions are reporting on ESG. So we have a ranking in that DataStream Icon. I don't know if you know this database. It's a database used by researchers all over the world. So my first question is, who is auditing or who is checking these ESG rankings? Because our research is based on this data. So my question is, who, if you know, who checks the reliability of this data? And my second question is, do you think that in the medium or long term, we will see an ESG ranking for not only for big companies, but also for SMEs?
I will answer you the first part of your questions. If you are asking about the reliability of the data and the research, I think nobody can guarantee the reliability of the data, that distribution everywhere. It's dependent on the researcher himself that to find if this data, can be used as a trusted data in the research, and also can depend on the result of this research, as you say, to get the result and conclusion that you reach by your research. So I think if we search, there is many data and many information available to everyone in hand. And that's, by the way, one disadvantage of the technology. So I think mostly it's depend on the researcher who can do more the using the testing tools of the research to guarantee if this data is creditable or reliable. And also it's one of the important about the research to make sure your data that you've been, even if it's primary or secondary data, to become trusted or not, or you can be used in your research. But I think if we are talking about Saudi Arabia, I think many of the governmental website now, they establishing data that can be trusted and can be used by the research all over the world.
Okay, so the next session will start shortly. Thank you everyone for listening. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Adam, Dr. Njud, Dr. Noof, and Mr. Anwar for insightful panel discussion about leading recovery, growth, and sustainability to meet Vision 2030. And one of the things that stuck in my mind, talking about the role of CFO, how it has changed from looking into oversight and hindsight into foresight and insight. It's amazing. Thank you very much. Moving along with our schedule for the CFO Roadshow, navigating challenges, seizing opportunities, strategies for future CFO. Would like to move on to the fireside chat, how to get a seat at the leadership table. And I would like to call our own CFO at the IMA, Mr. Russ Porter, if you please join us over here on stage, along with Mr. Ahmed Dawood, Senior Finance Executive and CFO from PepsiCo Middle East Food. Thank you.
Sure. With Ahmed here, and we're just going to let you all listen into it. So, Ahmed, you said you had a comment about the last question asked.
Yes. Assalamu alaikum. So great to be here with such a great group. I'm a bit operational CFO, so my answers will not be traditional, so bear with me. Just would like to answer one important question you just asked the gentleman here on what roles will be eliminated and what roles will be created. There is no clear answer to that, as mentioned by the gentleman. But there is a very simple guidance to that. Let's think about my company, my organization. So I'm a CFO for a big, fast-moving goods company. So when you think about my finance function, if the population is 100%, think about currently what jobs are in my function, within my function, that are very much transactional and repetitive. So assuming that 50% of my population is doing transaction roles, so 50% of my finance population will be under risk. So there is no one size fits all. Think about your organization. But the good thing is that think about also the other opportunities, digital finance, e-commerce. So I get so many team members coming to me, boss, we need to change our careers, focus more on digital finance and so on. So think about it this way, but I'm telling you it is a very simple exercise, but very difficult to predict as well. 100%. This is a very common example, and I'm telling you, we are moving very, very fast in terms of artificial intelligence technology, and I think most of you have heard Elon Musk saying that he is a bit worried about it. So we will slow down, we will neutralize, but when and how, is it going to be an easy transition or very much a choke? That's exactly what we don't know as we stand. So thanks for the question.
And we got a good picture of the big picture of finance and the role of the CFO out of our first two sessions. We're going to make it a little bit more personal and direct in this one. So you've had a great career. You're the CFO of Pepsi Foods here in the area. What were the elements of your career that got you to that seat at the table, that got you the ability to lead the organization? And if you don't mind, I'd be fascinated to understand, what was your favorite job as you progressed through your career?
Yeah, so this is the second one is a very tricky one, so let me answer the first simple one. Before I start, I also would like to say hi to some great faces I have, my colleagues, old colleagues and friends, so thanks for coming as well. On this point, on having a seat on the table, and the CFO or finance leadership team members, we have a seat. And we have a very much strong position on this seat. The question is how you want to acquire your strengths in the seat. So some of the CFOs can say, okay, I have my authority as per the company statement of authority, so it's all about getting the approval. So I can approve and I can reject, and that's exactly where I can get my table on the seat. However, on the other side, before I move to the other side, we have also a strong position on the seat because we are responsible for financial statements integrity as well. We are responsible for governance, compliance, and this is as per design. That's not far away from what we say. So having a seat, we have a seat. The question now is all what is happening now, the changes in macroeconomic and economic dynamics, very much constrained resources and so on. The way I think about a successful CFO versus a very much a traditional CFO is how he or she is very much integrated with the business. Starting from understanding the business code, knowing the business dynamic, not only sitting on his or her table waiting for someone to come to ask for approval on payments or spend, no. So what is the commercial structure of the organization? Where do we get our resources? What are the different channel dynamics on the supply chain, on the value chain? So that's exactly how we build a very much strong seat within the table. On the other side, the relationship with the other functions is very important. There are so many behaviors that has to come with what I'm saying as we stand. For example, you have to be influencer. You have to have very strong influencing skills. And as I mentioned when I started with that, you can have influencing skills to your power within the organization. So in my company, I have a very strong power in rejecting something that even the CFO has approved. But I can do the same exactly with the use of the very strong data I have, so I can influence through data insights, data dynamics, that can let the other side say, Dawood, you shouldn't approve this. So that's exactly how I think about it.
So that answer is interesting because all too often, CFOs are viewed as Dr. No. We're very good at saying no. We're not very good at helping the business along.
Yeah.
But with a collaborative style like you just described, did you have to overcome that misconception amongst the leadership team?
Yeah, there are so many misconceptions, but the one I really hate that so many people say that CFOs are very serious and they don't smile. So which I really don't like. And to your exact point, so many discussions happening. Okay, but the CFO, Dawood, will refuse and will reject this payment or this investment. And the way exactly we really transform in this is what I mentioned in the previous point. You have to influence others with very much strong data and insights. Numbers does not lie. Numbers are very clear. Having the right numbers in front of you, the right analysis, understanding your business code will let others really come with you to where you want to be. Yeah.
That takes a lot of time, though. You know, that time to persuade, to influence, to gather the data and make sure that it's presented in a way that is clear and logical. How do you find your ability to do that within your organization?
Two main important points, if I would say. The first one, having a very much strong, diverse team. If you have a very strong, diverse team in your organization, you will be able to transform the function, because we, as a finance force, we spend more than 70% of our time to process the data, as opposed to getting insights. So if we have a very much a strong, diverse team who can really do the right digital transformation for the finance function, we can easily spend 20% of our time getting the data and the insights, and the rest, 70-80%, really is spending time to discuss, to evaluate, to assess, as opposed to collecting data. And the time factor in what we are saying is very critical. In so many situations in the past, I used to ask for data in order to take decision. It comes to me after a couple of weeks. So in nowadays, we have wars here and there. We have issues with the availability, so we cannot wait for weeks. We cannot, even for days sometimes in some cases. Strong diversity team who are really able to manage the change, transformation in all our aspects is key for success.
I wouldn't disagree. That pyramid of how much time is spent in transactions versus analysis, you know, the goal is to invert that and make all the time spent in the analysis phase instead of the transaction phase. But how do you do that? How do how much of your time on a daily, weekly, monthly basis are you spending on running the business versus changing the business?
I would say, of course, running the business has the bigger weight, because changing the business comes with also resistance on the other side. And this takes me back to your first important question on how to get a very much strong seat on the table. Having a very strong strategic mindset is very critical to try to at least have a balance between operational time as well as changing time. So if I would say, I don't want to be specific on numbers, but more than 60% of my time is on operations, every day, every week, every month. My weight of focus on changing the business has became much more important when I started to be involved within a strategy to execution. And I'm not just saying general statements. So the finance function, the CFOs of these days are becoming very important in leading and coordinating strategy from a strategy to execution. And you will, if you search it, you will find out that so many organizations are shifting the transformation function / business development, part of the business development, to be under the CFOs. Because the company cannot operate by its own without having the proper link between strategy and execution. And I'm talking about myself and my function. My manager, who is managing the sector, is handling transformation, and I'm also handling the transformation for the business unit as well. And this is really helping a lot in closing the gap, as we just mentioned.
So within your organization, clearly you're responsible for the finance function. There's a part of business transformation embedded within that. Are there any other functions that report to you that you provide strong leadership for?
It's mainly the main functions I have is the control, stewardship, financial reporting, compliance, internal control. The other part is commercial finance, supply chain finance, financial planning. And the transformation is the very important function I have as with that. But transformation has also a wide range of responsibilities. And what I like about what we have done in transformation is that we did not hire a full-fledged team to manage transformation. And I have one director under me who is managing transformation, and we agreed as a leadership team to have a dedicated indirect team from each and every function to manage transformation under his ownership. So to make it very clear, I have someone who is transformation director, and I have one of the HR function. His 30% of his time is managing transformation under this guy, and similar to supply chain and other functions.
So transformation within your organization, it's embedded within the business units, yes, not centralized in one place.
Not centralized on one place, but coordinated within my function.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
So you are a CMA, correct?
Yes.
So how did becoming a CMA or how did maintaining your CMA help you in your career?
Yeah, without overselling, I was having the chance to go or to choose between CMA and other certificates, technical certificates, without mentioning my name, without mentioning names. The reason why I selected CMA, it was very much too close to what I was doing at that time. It was almost 12 years back or 15 years back. So when I looked at the curriculum, I found out capital budgeting, for example. So capital budgeting in CMA is something that I'm still doing as we stand. Price volume mix, costing, they have a very much similar topics to what we exactly do in reality. So that's why it was very much easy for me as opposed to a very much deep technical certificate, if I would say. Another important point, you will find even the technical certificates are adding more flavor on the strategy, planning, to very much close to the CMA as well certificates. So even the technical stuff or the certificate, the heavy technical certificates are giving some sort of some weight to what we are talking about, the CMA certificate. Yeah.
And I think that's a reflection of how the role has changed over the years.
Exactly.
You know, when you and I started, a CFO was largely, as somebody in the panel said, you know, the super accountant. And those days are gone. We're now strategic, we're operational, we're trying to bridge that divide entirely.
Yeah.
It's a very different set of skills that is required of a CFO today.
100%. And if I would add also one or two examples, I mentioned that we are the link between strategy and transformation, and execution, through the transformation function under me. We are also becoming very much responsible on coordinating the productivity, process optimization, simplification of all function. It is under the finance organization. So if the finance function, and I'm not exaggerating, that's true, and if anyone wants to validate this with me separately, I can share more insights. So it is becoming a very much wide range of insights, focus on optimization and leading the future as well. That's why you will find so many new presses and new discussions over the media talking about the CFO is not the chief financial officer, he or she is becoming the chief future officer. It's not just coming by chance. No, you have to lead. If you are not coordinating where the company want to be, I don't think the company will be able to achieve. The reason why I'm saying so, in each and every company mission, a very important mission is generate/create value to shareholders. Who is doing this? How the value is being created? It will never be created through false sales or cost saving without looking at the potential top-line growth. So all of what I'm mentioning as we stand is being collected, consolidated at the finance function. Mm-hmm. So that's exactly where your role as a CFO is very critical and very important.
It is. I mean, one of the advantages I think we have is we have the ability to see the entire organization. You know, sales focuses on sales, product focuses on how their product is doing, functions like HR and legal have their specialties, but next to the CEO, the CFO sees the entire landscape. And it gives us a great perspective, but a lot of responsibility to manage that authority well as well.
100%. And in so many cases, I don't want to mention this, but in so many cases, some old colleagues, they come and tell me, you know what? It is not the CEO who is managing it. It is you. And frankly speaking, and this is one of the advices I will give it to everyone in this room, we are not at the CFOs competing with CEOs. Despite the fact that there are a couple of studies saying that 40% of the successful CEOs were ex-CFOs for a specific population. But if you put yourself in a competition position with CEO, believe me, this will impact the company massively, and in a very short period of time. So it's very important that as a CFO, you need to understand that you are working for the CEO, but in good terms. You are working for the CEO to give the right insights, the right support, and also make sure that you are doing it the right way as well. And that's exactly the difference between a very much commercial guy. They can be very much in a hurry to go and sell, have deal, without looking at all the dimensions of that deal. That's why we are here.
Right.
Yeah. And this will again take me to the question, what jobs will be eliminated, because the human brain will always be the source of everything. AI was created by human brain. You name it, the electrical cars, everything has been created by human brain. So that's it.
Yeah, yay human brains.
Yes.
You talked about the relationship with your CEO. What do you do to maintain a great working relationship with your CEO?
I work with so many CEOs, and I'm sure that some of my colleagues or friends will relate to that. It really depends on the style of the boss, if I would say. And what I like about my company is that, thanks God, I have two lines. So my solid line will always be to the CFO of the sector, and my dotted line will always be to the CEO, which gives me also a power to get into conflict. However, this is not the case in so many companies. So it's very important to understand/analyze the personality of your CEO. And I'm not asking you to go into deep psychological analysis, no. Just try to understand how he or she would like to operate. It's very important. And after analyzing in a very much simple analysis, sit with him or her, set expectations, agree on the ways of working. This is very critical, very important in the early stages. If you don't do that, you will get into so many guesses, assessments, maybe egos in the room, which will consume you and they will take a lot of time. And as mentioned in the early discussions, it's very important to use your influencing skills with data and insights. If your boss, the CEO, is saying this transaction will take the company to different height in terms of top line, however, it will not bring you profitability, you can easily show this in an Excel sheet or number or just press button. So that's exactly how it works with me. Does it succeed every time? No. That's exactly why this will take me to the discussion into the competition between CFO and CEO. You are not competing. You are working for him in order to generate value to shareholders.
So I've heard a lot in this discussion. I've heard a lot of skills like collaboration and communication, influencing. That's not what they teach us in business school. They teach us, how to do a capital investment analysis and how to write a financial statement. So how do you develop those skills, those softer skills that help you succeed?
Of course, getting guidance from colleagues, from coaches was one of the main sources of getting developed in such tricks. However, sometimes we get it the hard way. Sometimes we get into difficult situations and we think and reflect as well. There are so many companies who really has a very good repository of how to deal with these situations. But I will tell you from my experience, 25 years of experience, the real life experience is how we learn, really. You can learn it the hard way, you can learn it the easy way. However, setting expectations, having clarity is one of the key guidance in your relationship within the organization. It's very important also to learn how to be agile, not to mention that you are agile. You can easily say I'm agile, especially with the power of CFO. I can easily say no to the CEO and no one can stop me. But if there's the right way, if he comes to you asking you, I want this deal to happen, you can easily say no if you don't see bottom line improvement. But you can take him or her with you if we do these adjustments, adjust the contract provisions, make some differences or changes in the way we are doing this deal, you can take him to a different place as well.
So moving from Dr. No to Dr. Yes, if.
Yes, exactly,
So-
exactly. You know more than me. Yeah.
That's a tough challenge sometimes, is
Yeah.
to navigate that. So before I hit your last question, on the personal side, being a CFO can be fairly stressful. How do you manage the stress and the challenges of your work life?
Yeah, this is a very difficult one because CFOs are very much linked to numbers, and managing the stress is something that is not easy at all. However, recently I started really to really empower the organization under me. If you have a strong team, strong diverse team, I'm telling you, life will be much more easier than what you can imagine. And I'm not asking or asking anyone of the audience to just go and delegate authorities and responsibilities. No. In so many situations, I have seen bosses and managers who used to do everything for us. If you are in an organization, you are the CFO and you have 3-4 managers, senior managers and directors, use them to get the best out of them, to support them, and to do what you should do and let them do what they should do. This is really helping me, but recently, not in the early stages of my career.
All right, so delegation is good. Delegation at work is good. What do you do in your personal life to de-stress?
Spending time with family is really helping a lot, especially that my family is now away from me. And a bit specific thing about me, I like playing chess. So
Sorry?
Playing chess.
Playing chess,
Yeah,
okay.
it makes me feel comfortable, yeah.
Right, see, playing chess gives me stress instead of takes it away. So as I look out here, we've got a big audience of people who aspire to be CFOs someday. If you could give them one piece of advice, one piece of guidance to help change the trajectory of their careers, what would it be?
Yeah, the first thing I would start with, we are not born CFOs. So being a CFO or pilot or engineer is something that you are not born with. It's very important to understand exactly what you want to do and how to reach. It is okay to be technically okay or average, or above average or below average, because if you are not technically strong, you can have someone doing it for you. However, it's very important to acquire the right skill sets that will take you to this place, if I would say. So if you want to be a CFO, you have to be strategic, you have to be agile. To your exact, very much critical question, how to deal with the function or the peers, your leadership team, how to deal with the CEO, how to manage conflict as well. And this will never come alone without having also the right technical skills that keeps you respected in front of everyone. So it is a very simple equation to be said, however very difficult to be achieved as well. And it will come also with so many shocks, external and internal shocks as well. You will find, I wanted to be a CFO more than 10 years back, but some of my peers have taken my position, and I found out later, yeah, he or she deserved it more because he was more, or he were more agile as well than me. So it is very important as you go to go and understand what exactly skill set in such a situations. Observe from what you see as we stand. That's my main advice.
Okay. Good CFOs are made, not born. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
All right, Ahmed Dawood, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And now we're going to change it up again. We're going to have a second panel discussion. And I'd like to bring up a couple of members from the team. Let's start off with, Nora Al-Khatani. Nora is our Director of Business Accounting and Strategic Planning and Development for the Ministry of National Guard Health Affairs. I'd also like to ask Yusuf Al-Yusuf to join us. Yusuf is the CFO of Mukomali Aviation, and importantly, he's the chapter president of IMA for the Eastern region. Sure, I'm going to sit here. And he's already beaten me to the punch. Welcome.
Good to have you back, Harry. Thank you.
Good to see you again.
We're just gonna.
Bring it to the front, it's okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can we do this before, but we just wanna take 5 minutes to present the awards to Aramco and PepsiCo, and then.
We're just going to take 5 minutes of your time before the next session in our discussion. For those of you who are not familiar with the IMA, the Institute of Management Accounting, was established in 1919 to enhance the qualifications of accountants, financial professionals in business. Of course, I mean, we work with university students, we work with corporate, we work with associations, we work with the professionals. And under the IMA, we have a program where we recognize those corporate that have worked with us for extensive time, and also they sponsor, they employ, and they encourage their employees to be CMA, to be Certified Management Accountants. I recall about probably 20 years ago, a gentleman by the name of Musa'ad al-Sayyuhi calls me and tells me, Ahmed, we want to talk about the CMA. And I asked him, okay, Mr. Musa'ad, which company do you present? And that was from Aramco. And that was the first corporate account that started by preparing their own employees for the CMA certification. Along with Mr. Musa'ad al-Sayyuhi, also I got another call from another gentleman from over there, Mr. Bassam al-Asiri. And they said, Ahmed, we want to establish an IMA chapter in Saudi Arabia. And that was the chapter was established with the big help and support of Aramco, labeled IMA Eastern Province chapter. And since we have two gentlemen from Aramco with us today, I would like to take this opportunity and extend the Platinum Corporate Recognition Award to Aramco. If I can call on stage Mr. Abdul Aziz Al-Ghamdi and Mr. Burhan Deen, please. Also, I would like to take the opportunity to call on stage another company that encourages, employs, and sponsors CMA, their own employees to be CMA certified. If I may call Mr. Ahmed Dawood from PepsiCo to recognize also PepsiCo as a platinum corporate.
I think he's outside.
He's outside? Okay. Anyway, PepsiCo is also a platinum. Thank you very much. Oh, here's Mr. Ahmed.
Okay, so this panel is going to be discussing a little bit about how CFOs need to understand the value chains in their organization. And that means how organizations create value and all the different connections that are made within a company in order to do so. So I've got a couple of questions here. I'll probably go off script a little bit, as I want to do. But if each of you could comment on how do you collaborate and coordinate with other functions beyond finance as you're trying to work for the betterment of your organizations? And why don't we start with you, Nora?
Yeah, sure. Actually, the collaboration, it's not meant to be through an organization structure by any means. I would say there's two things. First, understand the dynamic of your team. The other thing is that how you restructure yourself is going to be evolving. I don't want to make it organization specific, but since I here just sharing an experience, I'll just walk you briefly how we evolve as a structure throughout the year. Actually, in National Guard Health Affairs, as you know, we are a public sector entity. We are not, our mission is not to generate income by any means. So when we started in 1996, that was like 26 years, more or less. Actually our organization is CEO, Chief Medical Officer, Chief Operational Officer. And the medical is deal with the physician and the nursing and the rest of it. And the operation is separately, and it's so that's we don't have actually a CFO. And for the chief medical officer, since we provide services for the medical, we have a body called Business Center, and we have also a joint venture with a private company here called Al Haya Company, where we produce vaccines and antivenom, and it's manufacturing for some sort of vaccinations. So this is from the medical side. But of course the business grows, and we have non-medical that generate income. So to deal with it, His Excellency, the CEO, linked it to himself, to his position with also the internal audit. So it's not your typical organization chart. Now, this is not the issue, although it's not an issue, but this is not the scenario. The point is that how you collaborate. In the start, and this is the scenario going in King Faisal Hospital. This is also well-known hospital for the audience here, at least in Saudi Arabia, do similar thing. Their structures typically as any financial department. They will do the invoicing, the collection, and the posting, and the rest of it. In National Guard, the story is different. And it comes from a necessity, actually. We said, okay, the business will focus, since we are a back office. We need everything to centralize within the function itself, give them the autonomy and empower them to do everything. We didn't have advertising because by law we should not advertise these things. So they need to rely on networking with the insurance company. Aramco actually one of our main consumers or client, I would say. They have to do that through cutting deals. That's what they call. They don't call it marketing or advertising, cutting deals. So to do that, it should be within one unit, and they will do also the sales, and they will invoice, and they also will collect. In the beginning, finance, and by the way, I'm a separate section. I also, not a section, actually, I oversee 11 sites, and I report to the chief operating officer. I'm not, reporting to a finance. We have regional finance. They do in the receivable some sort of posting. End of the month, I close the cycle. Now, we let go, as you see, we empower the corporate business development and business center to do everything with their customer and to collect, and also they will have an incentive. So it's not fair that you sell, you do a lot of selling, and then when it's the collection, and this is in the beginning, we really, our receivable, and we're still struggling with this, we do not finish it in 90-day circle. We do a revenue cycle management. So this has really helped us to improve a bit. Our receivable as of now, and every year is like this, we have 100 million Saudi riyal uncollected. At a given point, if I print a balance sheet, our balance sheet, it's going to be this number. Now, we have a huge revenue. I oversee 5 billion Saudi riyal. Through the journey, we used to call it a bucket money. But because, the market, now you see even Al-Habib is now beyond the region, expanding, beyond the Riyadh, it's also in the Middle East. So actually when you are a big organization, we are a 45,000 employee, we generate a lot of income. Also, our operating budget is huge. Before, if I gonna be in an event like this, I wouldn't really share with you figures, but as we have the citizens' budget and the transparencies, we are very encouraged to let you know, especially if coming from a government, to know exactly where we stand. So we have a huge operational budget as well. I would say in some countries they wouldn't have it. And we're talking about a small segment of Ministry of National Guard. Health Affairs is just 5 medical cities, 3 universities, and 3 research centers. So it's a bit different. Now, the collaboration not need to be by numbers or by logic. Actually, I spend a lot of time learning about psychology and how to know people and how to collaborate with them and how to see their interest. Because my value is compliance. My value, because that's what's my mandate as a corporate business accounting director. But my colleagues, they want to do so. They want to get their incentives. They want to grow their customers. They have different interests. They need to guard their interest, but it should be not in conflict end of the days. Now, it's not rosy and shiny in National Guard. No, we do have debates and we have, our culture is like any organization. But we manage to be clear, so we understand our point of view. For me, it just, in a monthly basis, I write to business development and business center and telling them, this is your report, please exerted effort to collect, and at any point. In 2016, where I hired in my own cost center a financial analyst. Actually, we advertised in UK, and he joined us. His skills wasn't in accounting or finance. Actually, he did not have even a bachelor degree. He's a British guy, excellent in collecting debt, and also, when you also know the credit of the company before you cut the deal with them. And he was very instrumental. He was assigned to sit with the business center, to work with them, be part of their team, although his salary is under my cost center. This is sometimes you want to give extra staff, extra help, give certain skills. But get away from the way of the people. Sorry, I elaborate, but I felt this is one of the things that we need to think about it when we talk about value. Because you can open Michael Porter textbook and learn it better than me. But to come and share my struggle and how we actually arrange ourselves around it, and value is different for everyone. This is what I felt I need to tell a story and maybe I promise myself not to exceed 2 minutes. Actually, it takes more than this. So I would say for your round of question, because I took a lot of time and people need to go, actually we are not on time. It's a long day night for everyone. So really the gentleman will be brief. So I will take this question, and I think this is my share for tonight.
Collaboration. How do you find collaboration helped you in your job?
Yeah, thank you for this question. Before I start talking about collaboration, let's admit that first thing, that the strategy of the company should be clear and communicate to all the stakeholders. So are we all talking about the same objectives, same mission, same vision, and all the teams segregated in the company working to the same goals? Then we can collaborate. I collaborate with all of our function leaders by following on their progression. Okay, from like KPIs, initiatives, what's the constraint on their level, to help them and to be transparent from each side, because we are working in one company and achieving the same the one vision. For this, to be transparent, discussion all the time, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, finding any issues in their end, to work with them to resolve it, because I believe every transaction in the company has a financial impact. It impacts me as a CFO when it comes to planning, budgeting, recording, reporting, and cash management. If HR can't hire certain employees, that means I anticipate favorable variance in their labor costs for the next few months. But is that good? No, because this will affect the quality of their operations. So I'm looking at the accountability. I look at them from the accountability perspective. But from my side, it's really favorable because the cash will be with me. So should I reinvest that cash for short-term investment? So you see, I will take one decision to another decision based on that only information I had from the team. So I would love them to work and to be transparent and to work closely so that we can make a culture with everybody engaging, everybody coordination, and as I said by Mr. Dawood, this is not a competition between CEO and CFO. CFO, you're jumping on my seat, you're coordinating with them. Is this that any transaction the CEO is taking, it has a financial impact on my level, and I'm responsible for financial reporting to the board of directors and to the shareholders. From that perspective, the culture, the constructive culture should be placed and should exist in the company.
To add to that, using that collaboration, how do you uncover the value within your company? That is, how is value created within your company?
Excellent. سعد الله مساكم جميعا. I meant to phrase some Arabic words, so we don't want to miss our language by ending with the session. So welcome guys who come from outside Riyadh. How many people come from outside Riyadh? Okay, 10 people, 5 people, okay, a good number, and as well as you. So we'd like to host you and welcome you guys. Thank you. My name is Hassan Al-Bahas. I'm the CEO of my own accounting firm, Maktab Hassan Qarwani. Pleasure to be part of this organization for a number of years, since 2015 for IMA, and always a pleasure to be there. And I would like to just take an opportunity here. We have a conference in 2 weeks. So for those who have a US visa valid, please join from Riyadh chapter. We need to see you there in the US, in Minneapolis, in 2 weeks' time, I think, or 3 weeks' time. So please join if you have the time and you have the visa valid, because you cannot have a visa for a short period. Okay, going back to the question. The way I will wear the hat of the CFO. I work as a financial controller and I've been on the academic side, but I'm wearing now the hat of the CFO. To be like an effective CFO, I see simple things that easy and clear, but it's very important. The CEO is an executive level, as we all know, and not every company has a CFO. We usually have a finance manager and accounting department. So CFO, that means you are in voice of the board as well as with the connection with the CEO. That you don't work alone, you have a team. But in order to be an effective CFO, I think the first thing you need to know the business very well. In order to bring value, in order to collaborate, in order to share knowledge and to be transparent and other things, you need to be on top of the business. Not in the past. Now we are a business partner. All accountants now, no more. Systems doing things for us. So we need to be partners. Business partners, the actual or the best the terminology I would use for accountants nowadays, before the technology take the things from us, we call them business partners, no more accountants or finance people. So that means you need to know the business. You need to be aware and ahead. You don't have to wait for the facts. As we are an accountant, unfortunately, we do the facts and reflect it, except the forecasting. No, we need to be on top of things. As a CFO, your main roles to satisfy up and down. So first thing, when it comes to staffing, you need to be selective and getting the right people to do the right work for the stakeholders up and down, board, shareholders, and of course the company and your team. You need to be, I would call it feedback. You need to, because we reflect, we have the reports, as mentioned by our colleagues here. So in order to report the information, you need to have of course, it doesn't have to be like, it has to be accurate. Of course, we talk about figures, 1 + 1 means 2, but you need to bring it in a way that is, in a smooth way, that is, bring the value and bring the knowledge to all stakeholders. That doesn't stop us as a CFO from being a creative. So taking the information and delivering it as is, that doesn't help anyone nowadays. You need to be thinking out of the normal procedure, normal system, and you bring it not necessarily in charts or PowerPoints. You need to just find a way that satisfies the stakeholders. Tell them what are the information that you are going to bring to them on a regular basis. This is very important. You don't have to wait for a number of weeks or months. It has to be simultaneous with the actions, and of course, with regular basis. That means on a monthly basis maximum, and then that will help you to bring reflects. Because I always call accounting is reflection of what is the business. Without numbers, you don't have a car and going to somewhere. If you don't have the dashboard in front of you in the car, you don't know where you are going. So the CFO role and his team or her team are there to reflect what is going on in the business. So we need to be always giving the people, and always when it comes to budgeting, planning, in the front seat, I'm telling you guys, this is okay, but there's risk assessment here not being taken care of, for example, or this is something that is being considered in the past financially, or this is cost and benefit, it doesn't worth it. You have figures. You talk about actually, they are not talk about like other department, they have dream. I don't know whether marketing people are here, but the marketing do, so we can have like way. I'm not doing it. But anyway, we are bringing factual figures, so we are the strongest. We have the real data, the real actual data. So you should be the most important person when it comes to meetings or to bring in value to the chain or to the business.
On that note, you talked about monthly look back versus weekly, daily look aheads. That's an important distinction, and it begs the question, we very often focus on very short-term requirements. What's going on this month, this quarter. I've got an earnings that I have to make this quarter. How do you balance the short-term pressures versus the long-term needs? Like a risk mitigation. That's a long-term need most of the time. How do you balance that against the short-term pressure on earnings and revenue growth?
Okay, the long term is one, as Adam Clark just told us in the last panel. It's actually the short term taking most of the time. Now, this is a very critical time for everybody around the globe. And the focus into the short term is not affordable anymore. So even people who choose not to get involved, they must, otherwise they will not survive the condition that we are suffering. And we touch also in the global issue that we have. I think we do not consume a lot of news, and to be very worried about the economical landscape of the globe is a valid. We have a recession, we have banking crisis, we have pandemic, we have supply chain, and there is also something they call it the great resignation. This is happening in the West, by the way, where people think that it's not worth it to stay in the workforce. Maybe you can correct me in that. This is what we read in the news. You are from North America, and this is going. And even in China, there is a name, I don't know what's because it's in China, but it's something like the hippie movement in the West during 70s. There is a guy in 2006, I think he's a YouTuber, where he felt that the life of a factory is not fulfilling anymore. And you know, China is the factory of the world. And now, with the supply chain, what a container used to be $1,000, now it's $10,000. I bring you from my own world in National Guard and also in the healthcare sector in the Saudi Arabia. The Credit Suisse crisis hit me in an indirect way. Al-Ulayan company and Al-Ahli, we call it National Saudi Bank, is a big investor in the Credit Suisse Bank. Now, what you do not know about Al-Ulayan is a major health supplier in technology and consumer and the rest of that. And with the COVID, with the supply chain, we already have a problem with the prices. So that's going to affect our bottom line in the revenue because of the way things is. So we need not to think about accounting and numbers and being financed. No, we actually need to wear the hat of an economist to see the big picture, to see how is things linked together, how is the technology impacting. Actually, if you ask me, I have 3 things in my list. And none of them related to revenue, because I already know my income stream. And it's actually you expand your consumer level. And by the end of the day, it's not with me. I already decided upfront structurally to give it to the operational people, not to worry much about it, even reporting and the rest of it. It's only legislation in Saudi Arabia where we make it more, because the public and private relationship is a new thing with the privatization center. So I'm focusing in legislation. I'm focusing in the distributed ledger technology. We done proof of concept, we implemented, and we done a success story. But I also need to know more about it. We have a lot of non-accounting coming, and you can read them in any technology, telling you we have a triple entry system, meaning the receipt. When you share in the peer-to-peer, and as an accountant, this is not a triple entry. You know that debate. We're talking about momentum accounting. When it's originated by the Japanese CPA, I don't remember his name. Anyone remember his name? Because I'm not good in the Japanese. But he is CPA legendary, and I like the way he presented. When I read it in the literature, it's different than what the technology people say. The Ripple people, the Everledger, and all of these people. So one of us need really to focus on technology, like proper accounting, to tell them this is just receipt. It's not a triple entry. Now, the double entry system is 600 years old, and it's technology by itself. Can we challenge this? Isn't it about time to challenge this? Well, actually, we are forming here in this region, we are forming a thinking tank, including people from legislation, from strategy, from technology, from accounting, to put our head around things that Ripple doing and Effort Ledger doing. And we want to say, okay, how can we do that? So this is one of my long-term technology distributed, to be specific, playing with distributed ledger accounting to have some sort of proof of concept or prototype. And we implement it here. And we get the support, the ecosystem. We have Sandbox in our central bank and also the Ministry of Communication. So everything is provided. Actually, anyone not utilizing these resources is not doing his country justice or his people justice or region or the globe, actually. So distributed ledger investment. We haven't done any investment in my portfolio. The last one was we have a mixed company with the Korean. This was like 8 years ago. And we want to bring more investment to the economy. Because if you, as a government, if I'm gonna expand my slice of cake within the Saudi Arabia, actually I'm competing with the private sector. I want to bring more cash flow to the country. So I'm targeting where we're gonna help to attract, like what we done with our colleague, the Korean, who done with us, the Saudi Korean company. We done it in 2015. This is before Vision 2030. This is before this amazing transformation happening in the country. So this is one of the things I really looking for, the global landscape or the global situation help me, because with uncertainty, people cannot invest with outside their borders. And everyone need to stay in their center. But at least we're talking about Asia market. I'm not talking about North America or Europe. At least in the Middle East and Asia, if we can build some investment. And also, we need also to have some cash flow to this region. I think this is one of the things I need to focus. So I'm just satisfied.
As part of that long-term, short-term.
Yeah, actually we should not balance, because we have for so long done a lot of short term. So if we're going to talk it from, let's say, 5-year scheme, if you focus, let's say, this year and the year after, mainly doing strategic things, I think, or strategic initiative, I think this is justify the amount of salary you get. You should not bother yourself with figures and numbers. And my opinion personally, or at least the boardroom I sit with, everyone actually is very fluent in reading balance sheet. And I don't want to be a CFO just to talk about numbers or bring them tables. This is actually, even not junior staff can bring this information. Most of the business people know their figures. And so they are holding MBAs, and actually they are logical, as good as the finance people. And finance and accounting is not defined within a structure. Trust me, I met a lot of people who is more articulated and with a lot of skills and depth compared to a lot of people holding high credential in our specialty.
I can help you if you like. Continue. If you finish.
Yeah, please, because if you give me, I'm going to elaborate, I promise you. So if we're going to say, actually, I want to sit with our moderator to sit for 2 days.
Let's touch base on some things you mentioned.
Yeah, but what time is it? Is anyone keeping track of us? This is agenda out of place, actually.
Okay, I would love to start with an example here. If I start with the Nokia and Koda example, that happens that, 15 years ago. They concentrate on the short-term, objectives, however, profitability and cash availability, but they did not think about the sustainability in the future. I'll give you another example. In COVID-19, one of the holding companies that maintains in department stores in the region, GCC, they announced their sales or their revenue dropped 95%. Why? Because they did not think about online service. Okay? So they did not invest in that. So the short answer here, there has to be a trade-off. And it depends on the strategy of the company. Now, again, I repeat again for the second time, what is the strategy? Do you want to maintain profitable and for the short term? Or you want to make expansion, merger and acquisition, etc.? So the board of directors should, highlight this and say, okay, this is what we want, please executive team, work on it. Based on that, we're gonna make the plan, document the business plan, communicate with all stakeholders, and make follow-up and accountability on a regular basis. So short-term goals like profitability to set the sales, cost optimization, having better profit. If you exceed the target, the excess of the target, we can use to reinvest in the market. And that will help us to facilitate the financing option like debt to support the long-term investment or acquisition. So it's based on the strategy of the company.
Excellent. And I will elaborate more on what's been said. But Ms. Noura Al-Qahtani is a friend of mine for a number of years. Not only with IMA chapter, we've been even in US, and he delivered the session over there, and by coincidence he did not wear abaya. At the same moment I wear thobe and ghutran, that huge event with 2,000 people attending that. That was in San Diego before 2000, that was in 2018. Yusuf was there as well.
Yeah, the title was Women in Leadership.
Yes. So we were friends. So يعني يمون عليها بالعربية يعني how to say it in English. So he's a good friend of mine. Going back to the very important point. Now I mentioned earlier about C4 only appears in major companies. You don't see him see her in small companies. Correct? We agree on this. And usually when people, unfortunately small entities or small companies, they don't think as strategic as they're supposed to be. So they don't differentiate, real differentiation. They reflect what the short term that comes eventually to a long term. But when it comes to real, like corporate business, usually they have financial controller and they have C4. Who looks for the future and who looks for the back? Guess, guys. Of course, financial controller, he sees the big picture and he can help the organization in one angle. It's by the way debatable, but the CFO usually, he bring the past and bring a fact. Of course, you have finance department, you have risk assessment, you have the other department that can help, but they have their own like people, because usually corporate business, they have a strategic department, and of course, as mentioned by Yusuf at the beginning, you have to have strategic and goals and appear clear to everyone. So everybody works in her area to approach that goal, that objective. So regardless if it's short or long, but usually it's divided to different rules. Small, goals will achieve the long-term goals. So this is a simple and different angle of discussion here. Thank you.
Hold the mic, and let me ask, can you give one, as we wrap up, can you give one piece of advice to the aspiring CFOs in the audience?
Okay, well, excellent. And how many are approaching their own career to be in a number of years to be a CFO? If you feel like to bring it, we need to see hands, guys, especially young generation. Alhamdulillah, it's a good number, 20 people. Okay, for my advice to you, I should be having this one to Mr. Anwar or Mr. Adams to have the answer because they are in the field, what to do. But if you are approaching to be a finance manager and then CFO, first of all, you need to be continuous learning and developing yourself and being up to the level of innovation and technology. Of course, you have to be now technology talks. Talk about when she mentioned, and by the way, she is doing a coaching more than work. I know her work very well. So she is kind of educating people on job. I know she works. And they mentioned double entry. double entry now, the chain, what do you call it, the blockchain is taking the double entry. Anyway, the digital is taking a lot, but of course that doesn't mean it's taking jobs. Jobs maybe will come different, but this is nothing to discuss here. But when you like to be a CFO, when you like to bring value to yourself, then to your organization, you need to invest all the way going forward. So education, learning from the best experience, attending such careers, and being close to the business and understand your business. Usually a first priority to understand the business, engage, network, and of course communicate. And I like to have regular, usually we call them down halls, whatever, meetings. Not only with your team, you need to get engaged with the business. You are partners. If you wait until the figures come to you and they reflect it, you will never develop. You will be always on blame, and you don't bring the real value, and you will not see yourself to be a real CFO. So please engage as much with the business, develop yourself, be proactive if you like. Thank you.
Same question? My advice is that to keep yourself updated. The world is changing, and finance and accounting and planning, etc., they are changing now. What's required from a CFO now is different from what was required from CFO 20 years ago. One of the most things is that you focus on the cash availability when you're a CFO. Cash and cash and cash. It doesn't matter what the strategy is. It is a long-term investment, is highly important, more important than the short-term, profitability, or vice versa. No one in the board of directors, shareholder, will forgive you for not having cash. If you don't have cash, everybody will freak out. So, irrespective of the plan, okay, this is your priority. Second thing is that keep yourself updated. Know the trend in the market, and get yourself out. Once you are competent in accounting and finance, get your attention out of accounting and finance. Know the business, as Mr. Hassan said. Know the business, etc. When it comes to sustainability, if this term doesn't ring a bell in your mind at this level, that means there is a lot to do in the self-development.
For me, I wouldn't say an advice, but what worked for me and what really I would like to share. It's a multiple things, but I will summarize them in one thing. I learn as much as you learn. This advice actually happened early in my life, in 2001 in the University of Glasgow, when I done my second master's degree. In there, they taught us through something, it's a mandatory course where you be responsible about your learning process. And it's not something we have in Saudi or the North American, but in the British system it's there. So it's called Learn How to Learn. And one aspect is, as much as you learn, you have to unlearn a lot of things. There is a lot of outdated things that we need to unlearn. That's one. The second thing is that have a mentorship. Not necessarily in your field. Actually, I'm thanking my mentor. She's actually specialized in psychology, Rana, here to help me this session, because she will evaluate me anyway. I put a criteria for myself, because you have to communicate with an impact. And to have an impact, there is a lot of criteria that you have to develop. The third thing, apart from the mentorship, is that there is a lot of things need to be looked at without the political agenda. For example, the discussion we had just earlier about the ESG, the environmental social governance. It's excellent, provided we keep it political nutrient. People who are getting in depth of this, they understand what I mean. Similarly, when he said, I'm so passionate about women and equity, this is really very important. But when you get it in a very political way, we end up with something like irrational, like, you know, the feminist movement during the 70s, which did not give any justice. Similarly, with this ESG, we need to be unpolitical about it. It's really very core to our environment, to our social, and governance is needed, for there is no doubt. But the way it's implemented, the difference is in the way it's being implemented and sometimes hijacked, to be honest. So this is my advice when it comes to these things. For technology, we need to forget about how we look at it as a consumer. I think we're capable of, especially in this region, to generate knowledge, to experiment. And distributed ledger is a phenomenal, but also it's gonna have a back doors, especially the one they use it in South Africa in the diamond industry. Everledger, and the CEO of this company and the founder, she provide a lot of insight how risky this type of technology and how unsolid, because again, if it's by technologists only and there's no sharing of from accounting most of the time they consume. They are not like the IT business, but this time around, it's very technical aspect. So we really need people to experiment with this. And this is what I'm doing myself. And it's not an advice, but this is how I set my priority nowadays.
Okay. All right, thank you all. Thank you for taking part in the panel. Thank you for paying attention. And we're going to hand it back over to Ahmed Makalati.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Hassan. I'm sorry? Yes. Yes, we're done. Yes. We're about to wrap up today's agenda for the CFO Roadshow. Before we wrap it up, I would like to thank Aramco and BAE Systems for the generous sponsorship for the whole roadshow. As you're aware, we mentioned at the beginning of our event tonight that we will tour in 5 cities, Riyadh, Doha, Kuwait, Manama, and Cairo. Thank you very much for your kind sponsorship. Yes. Also, I would like to thank SUCPA, Glime, Hawk, PwC, Morgan, the Eastern Provinces Chapter, the Western Provinces Chapter, and the Riyadh Chapter. Thank you so much for you guys for your contribution and sponsorship. Otherwise, this roadshow wouldn't be possible. And we're going to wrap up with a quick presentation from PwC Academy, followed by Glime, who's going to be announcing a surprise to the attendees. And please do not leave before you join us for dinner at the Mosaic restaurant. Thank you very much, everyone. One level down, yes, sir. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Sorry, as Noura said, it's been a long night, so apologies for that, and apologies also, for the delays. I would like to extend my deep appreciation and thank to the IMA, our platinum partner, for giving us this opportunity to present to you today. It's a cold room, I know, and it's been a long night, so I'll try to make things, fast and a little bit fire up. So I would like your assistance today. Because I'm going to share with you a couple of things that we'll do on your mobile. So I would appreciate if you can start by scanning this code to learn more. If you're interested to learn more about PwC Academy, I'll be explaining a little bit in a while. But if you are lucky enough to have a seat on the table, you would find also our pamphlets there so you can access. If you're not, you can just scan this code anytime and take a look at PwC Academy. It was going to be really weird to present something about technology without having the technology. But as a trainer, I'm used to that. I went into a situation where I had to deliver a full day of training without even a presentation. So, and it worked well, to be honest. So it depends actually on you know, like the competencies of the trainer. So who am I? My name is Anas Sultan. Your second task is to scan this code, if possible, and connect with me. My name is Anas Sultan. I'm a Senior Regional Director at PwC Academy. I have over 20 years of experience in corporate governance, internal audit, risk management. Initially, I'm an accountant. I graduated as my major is accounting. I'm a CIA, I'm a CRMA, I'm a CFE. Unfortunately, I'm not a CMA. What are you going to do about that, Mr. Ahmed? Do you offer honorary CMAs or no? No? No. Yeah, exactly. I would take a training at our academy.
You need one more seat.
Exactly. So, unfortunately, after working in accounting, management accounting during my college days, I started immediately in external audit, internal audit, corporate governance, risk management. I got certificates all the way. CMA will remain my burden, but one day I'll be doing it. So I can feel my mobile already moving. Thank you so much for connecting. Okay, the next task would be is to scan this code. I will ask you a couple of questions. I need your insights a little bit, and I'll give you a little insights on the way as well. So you can scan this code. It will take you directly to the quiz, to the poll, or you can go to www.menti.com and enter this code manually, 16928517. Okay, I can see people already signing in. Wow. Yes, good thing shares were moved so we can have the full screen. If you can press like once you join, it will show up here, and this is the amount of people that we have already on the presentation. I have 39. Do we have a 40? Okay, 40. That's a good number to start in. Please, you know, like the joining instruction are on the top all the time. So let's start with the first question as well here, if anyone would like to have the QR code, the joining instruction. Okay, the first question. If I tell you that the future is human-led, tech-powered, do you agree? Yes or no? So are things going to change? Are we going to have more robotics, IoT, AI? Or is this just a hype, you know, like all these AI things that ChatGPT, what is that? I mean, it's just a hype that is going away, and we are going back actually to the old, usual, regular methods. Okay, 94% says yes, it will be a tech-powered future, and 5% they do not agree. Who are they? Okay. Maybe nobody knows. Okay, good insights. Okay, next one would be, in your opinion, what are the most required competencies for future CFOs? So you have a chance to enter 3 answers. You can enter 1, you can enter 2, you can enter 3. So competencies, skills, what are the skills that you believe that are mostly required by future CFOs? I'll give it a moment. So once you start popping your answers, it will start showing on the screen. Okay. So just to tell you a little bit about this, the answers that are coming in the middle are the most repetitive. So if people are answering, for example, leadership, that's means lots of people believe that a CFO should have leadership skills, should be adaptive. So probably the most dominating answers are leadership, adaptive, and of course understanding of technology, or using technology. I've also Sense, AI, Agile, CISA for a CFO. There's an IT spy sitting here somewhere, so show yourself, okay? Strategic planning, collaborative, forward-looking. So I would say, as expected, leadership, adaptation to the new changes, and usage of technology is probably some of the most anticipated or required skills for future CFOs. Good stuff, great, great. Okay, so keep getting answers. So at the end of this presentation, you also have the chance to get the answers on your inbox, so you can enter your emails and get the answers. Okay, very good insights. So adaptive leadership and technology. Great. Do you think your team have the right set of technical and soft skills required by your organization? Yes or no? Okay, as a team leader, do you believe that your current team does have a very good skill set? Mm-hmm. Yes. TNA, training need analysis or assessments or, yeah. Yes, yes. Competency framework, yes. Yes, yes. Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm. So we probably have lots of CFOs, we have people who are not necessarily in finance, but do you believe that your teams, okay, so we have 31 people who said no, interesting, 31, 32, and 17 said yes, that's like split 2/3. Okay, nice. Okay, let's go to the hard question then. When was the last time you upskilled yourself? And by upskilling, I don't mean that you read something on Wikipedia, that does not count, right? I mean, upskilled yourself really in a new skill or a new talent. This week, this month, within 2023, before that, or maybe someone is good, someone is happy, so thank you. Okay. Very nice results. Okay, this week, that's it. That's great. Does this count? Okay. So if this conference count, then I would say yes. Okay. We have a tie between 2023 and this week. So recently, which is good. Some people are actually paying attention and keeping themselves updated. Okay, thank you for that. So let me give you a little bit of insight from our side as well. So good news is, as per our PwC survey of the CEOs, 84% of respondents, they were confident that their company would grow over the next 12 months. That's a very ambitious number. This was run back in 2020, and we barely had 40%. That was the time of COVID. So it was like 40%, but it is amazing how we, as people, we recovered very fast from, very great from COVID, and actually 84% of people believe that their actually company would grow over the next 12 months. 74% of CEOs say that they expect to invest in reskilling their workforce, which is a very good number, which shows the importance of reskilling as well, upskilling. And following on that, 63% of CEOs in the Middle East specifically are extremely confident or very confident about prospect for their company's revenue growth over 12 months. So that's the good news, very good insights. Now the bad news. Okay, our PwC's Global Workforce Hopes and Fears survey has indicated that 49% of respondents say that their job requires specialized training, which they are not getting. So unfortunately, 50% of people, they believe that they are not actually up to the task, or they're not getting the right, or they don't have the right skill sets. 40% of employees said that their company is upskilling, which is a number that is very low enough, like to imply considerable room for improvement. 60% of people believe that there is no actually there is no upskilling. 29% of respondents said their country lacks people with the skills needed to perform their job, which is also a very low number. So what are we doing about this? PwC is one of the big four firms, as you all know, and as a commitment for Saudi Arabia, we believe that Saudi Arabia has done great. I'll be talking more about the Vision 2030, but in our offices at PwC, 70% of our people are Arabic speakers, and in Saudi Arabia we have over 2,000 people. 52% of our people are actually Saudis. We believe that Saudi Arabia has the backbone, they have the resources to actually go and achieve the vision of 2030, and we are here to help as well. The thing about PwC Academy, most of you would know the big four or consulting companies as consulting companies, right? I was a consultant myself, I used to work in a big four, and I used also to think that I was a trainer. Unfortunately, that was not the case. Not every subject matter expert is a trainer. There's a big difference between subject matter experts and trainer. Having the technical knowledge, having all the technical knowledge and understanding of a certain subject does not qualify you to be a trainer. Lots of subject matter experts are not good speakers. They are unable to deliver training. I would say Albert Einstein, for example, is not a great trainer, although he's a genius. So the thing is, we recognize that we need a separate line of service which specializes in training. PwC has established 44 global academies. We are proud to say that the academy in the Middle East is one of the largest academies in the world. And this is a line of service that is dedicated to a training. Why is that important? As you know, all the consultants usually, what they do, they sell time, right? So they have consultants, full-time employees, and they sell them, sell their time as consulting. At PwC Academy, we do things differently. We actually have a very flexible model that allows us to go all around the world and find experts and subject matter experts in lots of fields and bring them to Saudi Arabia and bring them to the region. So they work with us as partners, not as full-time employees. That's why our model allows us to bring those people here as freelancers, as subject matter experts. I believe that Saudi Arabia has actually redefined the word transformation. We are already halfway through Vision 23, and although there was lots of times of uncertainty during the COVID time, which took about 2 to 3 years, Saudi Arabia has actually in the middle way towards 2030, and it's already on the map of lots of people. Everybody knows Saudi Arabia. Everybody anticipates Saudi Arabia. Everybody wants to come and know about Saudi Arabia. Everything has changed, a huge transformation, and we are proud as PwC that we are actually helping Saudi Arabia in one of its main pillars as PwC Academy, which is upskilling of the Saudi nationals to be able to take on the future jobs, such as being a future CFOs. We have lots of premises. We have one state-of-the-art premises in Dubai. We have one in Riyadh. We are actually trying to expand more, and we are really keen to see and welcome you all in our academy soon, which we are expanding. The PwC Academy has 5 pillars, 5 main pillars. The governance, risk, and compliance. I'm the leader of the GRC Academy at the PwC. We also have the Leadership Academy, the Management Academy, the Finance Academy, and the Digital Academy. All 5 pillars that are very important skills and soft skills, competencies that are required in the Saudi market. Of course, we are proud of our partnership with the IMA. We are actually a Platinum CMA course provider for the IMA. And this is also a list of all the professional qualifications that we do at PwC Academy. A little bit of insights about what I've been saying. We have over 750 training experts from around the world to deliver on these competencies on these academies. We have over 1,000 graduates, 1,100 organizations trained, and over, now I think it's 60,000 people, participants training, the training days delivered in Saudi Arabia. I will not go into lots of technical details because I think we're running out of time, but there is something what we call the neuroscience of training. It's not a big word, it's not something that is fancy. There is actually a science beyond the training. Training is not just putting some slides and presenting them. It is actually how to design these slides and how to effectively deliver them to people to make the knowledge last, to make the training, like all the knowledge that is acquired. Statistics show that 60% of all the knowledge that is obtained during the training is just lost after 1 week of the training ends. If there is no follow-up, if there is no active follow-up or methods that are used by the trainers to make this information last, all this information will not last. So a couple of things that we do, we bridge the gap from learning to business. We provide with lots of complementary access to our learning management system, and we provide also master classes, thought leaderships for all our graduates so they can continue their education after they finish. A student support system, we support our students, we never leave them. We do them mock exams, we support them in registration, we support them in our alumni network. So we gather all these people who are graduated and we keep them also updated with all the latest information and about their certificates. We're proud that we have over 1,000 of CMA participants until now with our partnership with the IMA, and we have 20% higher pass rate than the global average. This is just in a short, a little bit about us. Apologies if I took some of your time. Please feel free to reach out to us. If you scan this form on your mobile and fill all your details, you will have someone from the Academy contact you. Thank you, gentlemen, for having us today, for listening to us, and I wish you a pleasant evening and have a nice week ahead. Thank you so much.
We're moving on to the last session of the agenda today, and I would like to bring on stage, I wouldn't call him an associate, colleague, I will call him a really dear friend of mine that we worked together for a lot of years. He got the passion to help accountants, financial professionals to get CMA certified, and currently he has been leading one of the strategic partners as a content developer to the IMA. Please join me by welcome on stage Zahi Boukamel. Thank you very much. And followed by that, one more session. It's going to be a small session. We're going to be extending CMA certifications to the recently CMA certified. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ahmad, for the great introduction. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Hello, everyone. What a great session today. What a great conference. And what a pleasure being in Riyadh. I'm so much pleased and grateful to see all these professionals here in this room. It was a very exciting, knowledge that we had earned today from the IMA, from the experts. And I'm so happy as well to be, attending this event. Also, being the strategic partners of the IMA and supporting students, professionals to really earn and acquire the CMA program, this is our main objective to do that. And, helping them and supporting them to elevate in their career, this is our main objective. Changing people's life, changing people's career life, elevating in their career, and helping them to earn more knowledge, plus as well as earning more money in terms of financials. A quick introduction about myself. My name is Zahi Boukamel. I'm the International Director for Gleim Publications. I'm based out of Dubai, been around 15 years in this industry, and as I said, happy to be here. About Gleim, so for over 50 years, Gleim has committed to develop the skill set required to be the future ambassadors in the accounting and finance profession industry. So we have helped many professionals to really earn the knowledge needed to be the ambassadors in the finance and accounting industry. And yes, they have been the leaders in the market, whoever has earned the CMA and acquired the CMA certification. Gleim is the #1 CMA courseware prep. We are the first publishers who has started developing the CMA materials, and we had, designed the CMA, our CMA program, to meet the learning objective outcomes of the IMA. Our mission is to help professionals in accounting and finance to attain higher level of knowledge in analysis, synthesis, and evaluation, while they learn the concepts, problem-solving techniques as well. Our mission also to maximize the knowledge transfer while minimizing your effort, frustration, and cost. We provide easy-to-use, effective knowledge transfer systems to accountants and pilots. Ultimately, we help people help themselves succeed in their careers. So using our platform, using our content is the way to pass and earn the program. Again, we have started in 1974 by Dr. Gleim with a mission to help all students succeed in the world of accounting. 50 years of instructional experience and student access built into everything we do. Service-oriented, Gleim has highest rate customer service in the industry. It's a family-run business based in Florida and expanding internationally because we know and understand the international market and the need of having more CMAs in the profession. The #1 choice for CMAs, we are the exclusive IMA CMA scholarship program partner, built by professional educators, award-winning support, adaptive technology, realistic exam emulation, and 100 coverage of ICMA content specification outlines and learning outcomes. I don't want to dive deep into the content. I think most of you has the brochure, and most of you has my contact number, which I'm happy to assist anyone who would like to acquire the platform or the courseware and start prepping for the CMA course, which we're going to be very glad to be part of this journey. As Ahmed said today, we have a surprise for those who still didn't do the IMA membership or the exam fees, or still thinking to enroll in the CMA program. So we're going to have one scholarship for a Gleim premium courseware, which you need to just keep your business cards on the desk. For those who are not an IMA members again, and who are still thinking to enroll in the CMA program, we're going to do a draw after this event, and we're going to definitely contact the winner to give him the PIN or the access code for the CMA premium course. So please feel free to give us the business cards, and we are definitely going to do the draw and send you an email.
Only one business card per person, right?
Yes, only one business card per person, and only one scholarship. So, here's my contact number. Just quickly. Sorry for that. So this is my contact number. Please feel free to email me or call me. And again, thank you for your time. Thanks for the IMA. It's been a pleasure to be part of this event, and definitely looking forward for more events like that where we add value to the professionals and help students to change their life. Thank you so much.
This is
Just only because they will close the restaurant.
What is the...
Someone to talk.
Just guys, if you can just keep staying a while because we have to recognize our new CMA. If you can please get down, please, because this is very important. These are our heroes. We're going to recognize them right now. Their future leaders. Please, if anybody outside, please, can you come in? Actually, in IMA Riyadh chapter, we have a practice of recognizing our CMA, our new CMA and KSA, and we started this practice since last year. So last year we recognized our 2021, and this year we are recognizing our CMA in 2022. And those who obtain CMA so far or remaining of this year, we recognize them. We will recognize them next year. So this year, according to our records, we have around 40 members got CMA, but we communicated with them and we asked them to attend this meeting in order to recognize them, and we have around 7 persons. They confirm their attendance today. So I hope they are now all available today. Let me just call their names, and I will ask them just to come to the station. We have Dave Reeds here. Is he here? Dave? Dave, come in, please. I would like just to ask Mr. Raz and Mr. Ahmed and somebody else just to come here in order just to recognize these people. Thank you, Mr. Ross. Dr. Francisco, if you can come please also. Where else? Next. محمد عزت محمود. Yeah, actually we are looking for you.
We have been looking for you.
Come here, join everybody. I'm in your chapter. I'm in your chapter. Team, please join us. Next name,
Ahmed Sayed.
أحمد السيد. أحمد السيد or any عمر عبد اللطيف. عمر عبد اللطيف. إبراهيم عبد العزيز المديرس. إبراهيم عبد العزيز.
حتى لو بالعربي اوكي لغايه هلا بس
محمد سمير بندري سالم أحمد. محمد عزت محمود. محمد عزت محمود.
اللي بعده خلاص. محمد عزت. محمد عزت. لا لا. اللي بعده next please.
Okay, that's all.
في واحد اللي سليب ابراهيم.
But not confirmed his not confirmed. مش
سليب ولا سليبي ولا مش عارف مين واحد. انت تعال يا اخي تعال.
اوكي.
جيب الدرع هذه انت تمثيل ليه؟ ان شاء الله يا رب تسويق في الدرع. رجع الدرع يا
I mean, this actually. Yeah, I just want I want to make sure that these people, this new CMA, KSA, these are our heroes. They have proof that they mastering 12 core business. Yeah, if you can come back. Yeah.
اكيد هذا بس نشوف هذا
بنقول الليسته بتاعتك مضروبه.
اي والله.
Most
welcome.
شرفنا بيك.
الله يخليك. الشرف لنا.
Small advice. This should be the beginning as a marketing for you as IMA. أنا عارف التكنيكال ايشو بوظت الهول بروجرام بس this should be
next time إن شاء الله. ميرسي حبيبي، ميرسي لحضورك. This is